We'll take this live. The public protector currently briefing on several investigations. Now, one of them involving Ivan Pillay, former executive at the South African Revenue Service. Pillay secured an early retirement from SARS. You'll remember former SARS boss Pravin Gordhan facing several allegations linked to that package. Let me take you back live to Pretoria.
2016, alleging that Minister Gordhan approved this in his capacity as Minister of Finance on the recommendation of Mr. Mkhwebane. Mr. Pillay's application for early retirement and payment of his retirement package, the further payment by SARS of a penalty, in fact this is what we investigated, of 1,141,178, which was levied on Mr. Pillay's pension benefits by the government pension fund, which would allow him to enjoy full pension benefits as though he had retired at a statutory age. Mr. Pillay's subsequent retention as the Deputy Commissioner of SARS on a fixed-term contract basis following the approval of his early retirement, so this is also what we investigated. It is the complainant's contention that Mr. Pillay and Mr. Mkhwebane, as well as Minister Gordhan's conduct, amounted to maladministration, in that they failed to prevent SARS from incurring irregular, fruitless and wasteful expenditure in violation of Section 86, right with Section 1, Section 38 and Section 39 of the PFMA. The complainant also contends that Mkhwebane and Minister Gordhan in essence acted dishonestly with regard to their dealings with public funds, which resulted in Mr. Pillay receiving an improper advantage or being unjustifiably enriched at the expense of the taxpayer. The complainant further contends that the penalty levied by GEPF should be recovered from Mr. Pillay, Mkhwebane, as well as Minister Gordhan, jointly and severally. On analysis of the complaint, the following issue was identified and investigated: whether Mr. Gordhan irregularly approved the early retirement of Mr. Ivan Pillay with full pension benefits and his subsequent retention at SARS in the same position. The investigation was conducted by way of correspondence and interviews, and analysis of relevant documents was conducted. Consideration and application of relevant laws, related prescripts and case law. Key laws and policies which were taken into account to determine if there is any irregularity in the approval of Mr. Pillay's early retirement with full pension benefits were the following: the relevant provisions of the South African Revenue Services Act 1997, which in essence deems a person employed by SARS to be a person performing part of public service for the purpose of pension and retirement benefits. Relevant provisions of the Public Service Act 1994, which governs the pension rights of employees in public service. The relevant provisions of the GEPF 1996, in fact GEPF, Government Employees Pension Law 1996, and the rules which makes provision for the payment of the pensions and certain benefits. Having considered the evidence uncovered during the investigation against the relevant regulatory framework, I now make the following findings. Regarding whether Minister Gordhan irregularly approved the early retirement of Mr. Pillay with full pension benefits and his subsequent retention at SARS in the same position, that allegation is substantiated. Since neither Mr. Pillay's request for early retirement nor Mr. Mkhwebane's recommendation to Minister Gordhan contemplated retirement, there was no retirement in fact and in law. If there was no retirement in fact and in law, it can be concluded that Mr. Pillay was not entitled to early retirement with full pension benefits under any statutory provisions. Even if retirement had been contemplated and there was in fact a retirement, Minister Gordhan was not authorized by Section 16(2) A of the PSA to approve Mr. Pillay's early retirement request with full pension benefits, as this section does not confer any power on the minister to approve early retirement with full pension benefits. Mr. Pillay was not entitled to an early retirement with full pension benefits under Section 16(2)(a) of the PSA Act, the Public Service Act, because the section makes no provision for such full retirement benefits. Section 16(2)(a) of the PSA only confers a right on an employee to retire from the public service upon reaching the age of 55 years. In terms of this section, no ministerial approval need to be sought. Even if the request by Mr. Pillay for early retirement had been sought under Section 16(6), where Minister Gordhan would not have also, in fact, Minister Gordhan would not also have been authorized to do that, to approve Mr. Pillay's pension benefits, because the benefits to which an employee is entitled to on early retirement are regulated by this section and occur by operation of the law. So there's no ministerial approval which is required. Minister Gordhan's conduct violated, in fact, was amounted to an improper conduct. So when Mr. Makhashula made recommendation to Minister Gordhan for the approval of the early retirement without downscaling of his retirement or pension benefits, SARS, through Mr. Makhashula, took action which is contemplated in the GEPF law, thereby triggering additional liability to GEPF. And the payment of this additional liability by SARS amounted to irregular expenditure, as envisaged in terms of Section 8 of the PFMA. Mr. Gordhan also acted ultra vires in approving the retention of Mr. Pillay, as Minister Gordhan was not authorized by law to do that. I'm taking the following remedial action. The President to take note of the findings in this report insofar as they relate to the erstwhile Minister of Finance, Mr. Gordhan, to take appropriate disciplinary action against him for violating the Constitution. And the Commissioner of SARS to set in motion steps to recover the money paid, actuarial deficit, or penalty on behalf of Mr. Pillay by SARS to GEPF from the erstwhile Commissioner of SARS, Mr. Makhashula, and to ensure that SARS introduces part of their recruitment processes, regulations, policies, and practices which are clear and unambiguous relating to early retirement and staff retention.